That's good.
Welcome everyone to season 4, episode 142 of the Premier Pod. I'm your host Yash Pika, joined by my co-host Tyler Chan. And in this episode, we'll be talking about Liverpool's continued hopes for the quadruple. It's still there. Manchester City were knocked out of the Champions League, so really the only trophy they can go for is the FA Cup and the Premier League. But Liverpool are still in it for the FA Cup, Premier League, and Champions League. And we're talking about Manchester United, who had a okay weekend, but more looking at kind of like the future of what the season is and kind of where they could finish at the end, and then a pretty fun wild card topic in terms of talking about FIFA, specifically FIFA 22, and the latest news that came out a couple of days ago in regarding with it and PlayStation Plus. But to get things started, we're actually going to start with Liverpool, which we've done for like the past couple episodes, but they are the main team right now. And they beat Villarreal to go back into the Champions League final, their third Champions League final under Klopp, the third time in 5 seasons that they've gotten this far in the competition. So it's pretty big thing with Klopp. Like, he just somehow finds a way to do really well in the Champions League. Even when he was at Dortmund, he did really well at the Champions League. He's kind of just a really good coach when it comes to the Champions League, and he's bringing that magic to Liverpool.
It definitely wasn't easy though, because that first half of that second
Oh
leg,
yeah,
Villarreal just like
they were definitely
eliminated.
asleep. They were definitely
Mhm.
asleep, and then they woke up and started playing like Liverpool again.
It was a little. I'm not gonna lie. The heart was in my mouth right there, because we went in with a 2-goal advantage, and then it was just immediately wiped down that first half, and they had all momentum. And I was like, all right, well, I guess this is reality. Maybe maybe we're out to get humbled. But Liverpool, I don't know what Klopp said in that locker room at halftime, but I just thought of that meme where it's like that coach was just walking up to every single player and just slapping him in the face, just like down the line, just like waking them up. But whatever he did, like, Liverpool came out guns blazing, and that sub on with Luis Diaz kind of lit a fire under everyone's butts, and then everyone just kind of went ham, and it was the Liverpool that we expected, kind of playing with that intensity, playing with that urge to kind of cause chances to occur from just high pressing and winning the ball back from the opponents and just counterattacking really quickly. So that's a big thing. Like, Luis Diaz, that's been one of the key cornerstones of the team off the bench. Like, he literally just brings this new kind of dimension to the team that when it's missing, like, it's kind of there. It's very obvious. And then once he's on, it's like, all right, I'm glad we got
Yeah,
him. Holy cow. Diogo Jota didn't really have that great of a game, and obviously the game plan wasn't working from the first half. But after he came on, it's like a switch happened. All of a sudden, it was crazy. And even the fullbacks as well, like that usual back of Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold, just they didn't look that great in that first half. It was like that was one of the worst performances I've seen all season. I was like, in the semifinal, I'm like, come on, what's going on? So whatever happened in that halftime team talk, it just kind of switched, and now Liverpool find themselves in the Champions League final, going to Paris on May 28th. So I'm excited, but it was definitely a little tricky. I know there's a lot of criticism, at least for Liverpool's route there. They didn't really face too many crazy opposition like Real Madrid maybe did, where Real Madrid had to
yeah.
face,
Real Madrid went through the gauntlet. They went through
yeah,
PSG, then the defending champions Chelsea, and then Manchester City, and now they're facing Liverpool. And I think Liverpool's road was, who did they face in the round of 16? Was it
they
No? Was it?
they faced
Wait,
I
was it?
feel like
No, it wasn't Salzburg. Who did they
I
face
already
in the
forgot.
See, that's how uneventful their run has
Oh,
been.
it was Inter. It was Inter. That's who
Okay,
it
it was
was.
Inter.
And then
That was a pretty tough opponent. Then quarterfinals they played,
Benfica.
yeah, Benfica, and then they played Villarreal. So I mean,
Mhm.
they had like kind of like the more underdogish teams when it comes to Champions League, but definitely got by in terms of going with, you know, comparatively to Real Madrid's side where they had to face that gauntlet of teams. Liverpool's has not been on paper as difficult, but each one has a challenge. But I felt like maybe like last time Liverpool and Real Madrid met up, it was kind of the opposite. Well, Real Madrid did have like a decently tough time getting into the final, but I think Liverpool had to go through City, obviously in the quarterfinal, and then they played Porto, I think, right in the semis, or was that Roma?
Um,
They played Roma in the semis and then made it to the final.
I think
or was it Porto in the round of 16? Then
Yeah, they faced Porto in the
City,
round of 16, and then they
City in the
had to
quarters.
face. I think was it that season to face Bayern Munich. I'm already forgetting, but
No,
I
I
do
think
know they
Bayern
had to.
Munich they played them the year they won it. So
Oh,
I
okay.
think they played Bayern in the round of 16, then Porto in the quarters, and then someone in the semis that I've completely forgotten. And then they played Tottenham obviously in the final.
Yeah,
I think
but
that's how it went.
it's. I mean, every journey is a little different, but I still feel like, despite that, it's not easy. Like
Yeah,
Villarreal made it to where they were because they beat Juventus
Bayern.
and they beat Bayern Munich. So for some folks, they're like, "Man, you got the easy route." I'm like, that could have been Bayern Munich. Like it just they lost, and then
Yeah.
Villarreal. This is one of their biggest games, if not their biggest game in their whole club history. So for them, this was a huge game in just like in all things considered. So they had a lot of fight and like a lot of kind of backing for what this meant to the club. So that's why we saw in that first half they kind of came out like it was like their biggest game ever because it really was, and that really plays a big toll. But the quality kind of came through. I feel like they kind of ran out of juice in that second half, and I feel like Liverpool, one of their low key aspects about them is that their stamina with the team and like their squad depth is just so good that they're able to usually outlast and outperform a lot of other teams because that Gengen press and also just counterattacking and just winning the ball back, chasing the ball, it's something you can't really develop until maybe several seasons in. Because like at the beginning under Klopp, a lot of players are getting injured. A lot of players didn't really have the stamina to keep up with this tactic. But then now it's a few seasons in, they're kind of well seasoned, well conditioned, and more used to this kind of playing style where it's like they just kind of outlasted Villarreal at the same time as well.
Hmm.
So it kind of all came through. And Liverpool getting this victory is the first time any team, I believe, in the Champions League era has won all away games leading up to the final in a Champions League run. So that's also a big achievement. That's something I didn't even realize, but
Yeah.
you can't say Liverpool won them all because they unfortunately lost against Inter at home in that
Hmm.
first round of 16. But I mean, it's a big achievement. And I feel like with Real Madrid being the final um, competition, like I guess rival right here, where it's like of all the teams we face, it's Real Madrid, the team that kind of sent Liverpool into an embarrassing loss, where with the Karius moments, with Mo Salah getting his shoulder dislocated from the Ramos dark arts of defending, like RKO tackle to I
Gareth
mean, it
Bale
was just
bicycle kick.
yeah, Gareth Bale bicycle kick. That was a dark day, but
Benzema, he was scoring.
yeah, Benzema from
Benzema
the
scoring
carry.
off the mistake.
Gosh dang, it's uh, it's a good opportunity for Liverpool to get revenge. I feel like, but they just can't get in their heads because Real Madrid, they're on. There's some magic voodoo going on with Real Madrid in Champions League this
Yeah.
season. Especially in the last game, you kind of could see it very clearly. They didn't register their first shot until the 90th minute, and it was their first goal. Their second
Yeah.
shot on target, it was their second goal. I believe the third shot on target, which was a penalty, was their third goal. And
Yeah.
this all happened when like the 90th minute.
Yeah.
So I that's what makes me scared. You can't beat cheese. So I mean, they have that cheese
I
momentum
think
going in.
I think it's also like they have like some voodoo, but I also think like their whole team is so. I mean, you literally mentioned that Champions League final. Pretty much most of the players that played in that final are still starting for Real Madrid. Yeah, like granted they don't have Ronaldo and Ramos and Varane and Pepe there, but most of that team, like that core midfield, Benzema, like people like Lucas Vasquez that comes off the bench, Nacho, like all those guys are pretty much still intact. And the same you could say for Liverpool, where most of the people that played in that final, that core that Liverpool still count on, are still together. So it's almost like the reason that these two teams are back is because they have such a strong core of like they've been there and done that. So they don't panic when those moments get tough. They kind of know, okay, like this is what I got to do. I got to just like get stuck in and dig in a little bit. I think that's what also helps Real Madrid is that they also do have a lot of talented youngsters, but they also do have a lot of leadership. And Carlo Ancelotti, I know there's a lot of jokes that he just kind of just does his thing, just does his like little expression, and like that's how Real Madrid score. But I think he's also like a good manager who knows how to feel out certain moments or has a feeling for certain moments, because I think that's also sometimes a little underrated, because I think a lot of times we get so enamored by, coaches like Pep Guardiola and Mikel Arteta that are like so nitpicky, and then you want to dissect everything from like a T. And then sometimes you kind of forget coaches like Mourinho, even Klopp, Ancelotti. Uh, the reason that they're so good is that sometimes in those big moments, they, not that they throw away their tactics, but they can kind of get a feeling of like, okay, something big is going to happen, that's why I'm going to bring on Divock Origi, or this is why I'm going to bring on Camavinga, or this is why I'm going to take off, Casemiro or like Cruz, like in exchange for someone else, because they can get that feeling of, okay, I feel like a big moment's happening, and I feel like a momentum is shifting. I need to put someone in that can kind of help counteract that, or I can put someone in that can help bring us that momentum. And sometimes that's just a feeling. Like, honestly, at the end of the day, that's kind of like a feeling. You can't go to the X's and O's to help figure that out. That's just all, you just kind of have to know. And I feel like Carlo Ancelotti's so good at that. I mean, that's why he's able to handle being at Real Madrid with all those big personalities. Even when he was at Bayern Munich, when he was AC Milan, when he won Champions League there, like everywhere he's been, he just kind of knows. Like, all those good coaches just have that feeling of when to put someone on or when to take someone out in those big moments, and just learn how to manage those. And I think that's why they're so good and why they're able to get there. And that's what Sir Alex Ferguson did all the time as well.
That's the scary part. Liverpool and Real Madrid kind of pulled the same kind of cheese out the hat, where it's Liverpool subbed on Luis Diaz, changed the game. Carlo Ancelotti subbed on Rodrigo, changed the game, and it
Yeah.
was so quick too. So I feel like this final, it's really early to predict. So I'm not gonna do too much crazy stuff because we don't know what's gonna happen in like the next 3 weeks. But I think the subs are gonna make a big difference. Whatever changes made midway in the game, I think
Yeah.
that'll
The
be a
super
big
subs.
determinant. The super
Big,
subs. So Divock
big.
Origi, this is last season here apparently. So this is
Yeah.
his shot. But
Divock
I
Origi.
I think Liverpool have that chip on their shoulder against Real Madrid in particular. So it's like, all right, it's time to rise up and get this bread, because even Mo Salah on Twitter was like, all right, it's go time. He just has flashback to his shoulder and everything,
Yeah.
because I also screwed him for the World Cup too. So he's
Yeah.
definitely angry at Real Madrid.
Yeah. It's very, yeah, it's very interesting, because I guess like 4 years ago, like you guys played before the World Cup, and now they're playing again before the World Cup. Obviously, the World Cup's in winter, but I think what's really interesting is that Real Madrid, their run. I mean, you could probably arguably say that the only game where they've definitively played the best, or not even that. I would say for the most part, they've kind of been outplayed in certain, like most of the period of the game when it was against PSG, Chelsea, and Manchester City. But they just have that clutch factor of like, when the moment comes, they just somehow are able to deliver. And I remember Jose Mourinho's teams, like that's what he was known for. Yeah, maybe he didn't play like the most exciting stuff, and it was like kind of boring, and sometimes you're kind of questioning like, why did he do those things? But it's like, the reason he was able to do that is because he could count on his players to deliver on that one chance, and when they delivered on that one chance, and that's what ended up taking them through. And I think that's a very interesting part of Real Madrid, is that, yeah, they're not creating 5 million chances, maybe like a Liverpool or Manchester City are, but when they need that, when all they need is that like one or two chances, and they somehow manage to score, which is crazy.
That's the pressure of being at a big club. You have
Yeah.
all that expectation where it's, even if you're down, even if it's the end of the game, you're still expected to find a way to always win. So, and then it's just that kind of pressure, that kind of inner voodoo cheese is what kind of gives them that little superpower. And I mean, on top of that, not everyone gets recruited or transferred to Real Madrid or Liverpool. So I feel like
Yeah.
it's they kind of are selected very carefully and methodically, more than we think. It's not like the oil clubs, which I mean, kudos to also Real Madrid for beating out all the oil clubs on their run as well. So
Literally PSG, Chelsea. I mean, yeah, people forget, but Chelsea is like, I guess right now still owned under Roman Abramovich, who's still like dealing with Putin and everything. But you like literally PSG, Chelsea, and Manchester City. Like that's like the trifecta.
mhm. So now it's a big test, because I think I got to root for Liverpool. But I am scared. I was in before the game. I mentioned to some other friends. I was like, I would rather face City in the final. I feel like it's like City. they're tactically, I feel like they're better, but it's just like this is a final. Like they don't
Yeah.
really have that pedigree. They don't really have the history behind them, and I feel like Liverpool can overcome that. But with Real Madrid, I mean, we saw what they did against those three teams. It's like what the heck? It's like they should have won, but they did, and that's all that matters. So
Yeah, I know. What's interesting is I think when they met 4 years ago, I could definitely. I don't know. When the final was reached, I was like, okay, Liverpool are a good team, but I was like, there's no way they're beating that Real Madrid team. Like this, like with
that's also
Ronaldo,
true.
Ronaldo, Benzema, Bale, like Ramos, like that whole team. Like I just felt like it was too strong. But now, 4 years later, you could definitely say that like Liverpool are kind of like the you guys top team.
Yeah,
Um,
it's they're not the underdogs going into this final, and I
Yeah,
feel
like
like
Liverpool are like the top team. Meanwhile, Real Madrid are kind of like Liverpool 4 years ago, where it's like, okay, like kind of like not limping in here, but maybe defied the odds a little bit to get here. And now it's kind of like when they meet in the final, who's the team that's going to show up? But obviously, it's Real Madrid with all these experienced leaders. Like you still have like 36-year-old Luka Modric, 34-year-old Benzema. I think 32-year-old Cruz, Casemiro's like in his 30s. Like I mean, these guys are all the core group, all age. But it's going to be a really good final. I'm as a neutral. I'm gonna be rooting for Madrid just if we're putting it out there because like
oh
I can't have Liverpool winning a Champions League. But as a neutral that's not even affiliated with any of these clubs, it is a very exciting matchup. I'm glad that it's Real Madrid Liverpool and not Manchester City Liverpool
yeah,
as a
it'd be
neutral.
another. That'd be like the fourth or fifth matchup of Man City versus Liverpool this season alone.
Oh,
So
like at that point you're just like exhausted of it. It's just kind of
I
like it's
know,
lost its luster.
but I will quickly say on top of that, I mean, besides Champions League, Liverpool, as you mentioned, are still in the FA Cup final. They are still going for the Premier League, but Man City, they got nothing else to worry about besides that FA Cup and now the Premier League. So I feel like
Yeah,
it's going to be a little tougher for Liverpool to get that Premier League title, especially because now,
yeah,
after that, Man City got nothing else to worry about. The FA Cup is still, one-off game between the two, but at least for after the FA Cup around, I believe it's on May 14th, if I remember correctly, somewhere around
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Um, Man City can just put all their eggs into the rest of the season in the Premier League
Hmm.
at least. Whereas Liverpool, they have to be like, all right, we still have to field a decent enough team to get the wins, but also kind of make sure everyone's fresh enough for that Champions League final. So that'll be a factor, and that's what kind of worries me for the quadruple. It's not in their hands, and with Man City now being able to focus on it, I don't want to say something too early against the quadruple, but I feel like Man City might sneak that title now just because they got nothing else. It's like, what are they gonna
Yeah,
do?
it's like the best case scenario as a Manchester United fan, best worst case, because obviously it's not good that either of these teams are going to win the league, but like City gets away with the league, and then City probably wins the FA Cup, and then Liverpool loses the Champions League. So it's just let City have it, and then Liverpool just have the Carabao Cup, and then just go from there. That's
Gosh
at
dang,
least what I'm kind of like outsidely hoping for, because
that's
yeah,
gosh dang it, yes. I mean, you kind of said it in that kind of statement too, where it could all still fall apart for Liverpool. This month is
yeah,
huge. Like
yeah,
this month, they can win 3 trophies or lose 3 trophies.
yeah.
So,
It's wild.
oh my gosh,
It
it's
is. It's crazy.
I don't know how we're gonna handle it, but I mean we'll see. It's a lot to ask for the team, but I feel like of all the teams that I've seen, of all the squads iterations over the past years, this Liverpool squad is definitely the strongest, and they can definitely handle it. And if they
Hmm.
do handle it, I feel like it'll go down as one of the best teams ever in like football history,
Yeah.
because to pull a quadruple off in this league, in this kind of situation against like these opponents, it's you can't really beat that. So hopefully they pull it off, because like not many teams pull off a quadruple. Like you can kind of name which teams pull off the quadruple, like that Barcelona team with like MSG. It's like
Oh yeah.
not many teams can do that. So
Yeah.
imagine this team can do it. And it's kind of sad Ronaldo kind of left right before we're going into all this. It's like, gosh dang it. We could have used him. And I feel like he's probably missing out. But man, it's I'm nervous, but also excited because like we don't know what to expect. But I have confidence at least, compared to
Hmm.
maybe in the years before, it just be prayers. But like with this experience, with this kind of momentum and like this game plan under Klopp and just like the history backing it, I feel like it's very cliche for me to say, but it's like I feel like Liverpool's got it.
Yeah,
But I mean, we'll see.
yeah, it'll be a really good final. Like Tyler said, Liverpool are still in contention for the quadruple, so anything could happen in this final month of May. Like Tyler mentioned, it is a huge month for Liverpool. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, they have a tough run of schedules or tough run of fixtures coming up. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. The narrative could change within a week or 2 weeks. So I don't know.
Mhm.
We'll see. We'll see. But I guess moving on, real quickly to Manchester United. Not much has happened on their front. Um, yeah, like literally not much has happened. I honestly can't even remember who we played last weekend. It's just been like that. Literally, it's just literally been that. Like we played Brentford in our final home game, and yeah, we won 3-0. It was like basically a sending off for like a lot of players, like final home game at Old Trafford, like Nemanja Matic, Juan
Yeah, I
Mata.
saw Mata started. I was like, what the heck?
Yeah, literally started his first game of the season.
Yeah, it's like,
It's crazy. I thought he was like in the 37-year-old range. He's actually only 34.
oh, I mean, that's still relatively old in
Yeah.
soccer years.
But
So,
I thought he was like Luka Modric, like getting into 36, 37. I was like, wow, he's still 34. Like, I mean, I feel bad. It was definitely very kind of like mixed emotions. Because definitely like as you can tell, like a lot of the players we have are going to be on, they're going to be leaving on like free contracts because their contracts are
mhm.
expiring, and a lot of players will also kind of be in the run in to get sold. And it was like it was a good send off because it was like, finally like we kept a clean sheet, scored 3 goals. Rafa Varane scored his first goal, Cristiano Ronaldo scored another goal. It was good in that sense, but it was very kind of mixed emotions because the season has been very difficult and just a very like trying season. um and I was just kind of thinking like a player like Juan Mata, who came from Chelsea when I believe he was like 27 years old, um really like, the peak of his Juan Mata at Manchester United was basically between like 2014 all the way up until 2018 or 2017. Yeah, I would say
Mhm.
2018. And he won, FA Cup, Carabao Cup, like the EFL Cup, FA Cup, and the Europa League, and the Community Shield. Like, people want to count that, but a player like Nemanja Matic, who came in as the kind of being like that guy that was going to help us, lead us to more trophies. Never won a trophy at Manchester United. So it was just kind of very just interesting, like feelings because Nemanja Matic, oddly enough, ever since he announced he was leaving, has been playing like some of his best football like this whole season, which is just very, very odd. And then Juan Mata, when he's played this season, when he's kind of came on, it's just like wow, like a player like that we've been wanting to like this whole season to kind of just play like mini link up play and just keep the ball like moving. Um, Literally, it's been started now like in the final games of the season and is kind of showing like okay, Juan Mata can still play and like this is the type of profile player like we're going to be kind of seeing under Ten Hag. It's just I don't know. I don't know a good pinpoint to kind of put it, but it was very just kind of interesting feelings because uh, we have a lot of players that are sending off, but also a lot of the players we have never really won anything at the club, or they were kind of just part of like a really down period of the club. And yeah, like at the end of the day, we're all still going to support the players because like you know there's nothing else you can do as a supporter. But it's kind of just a weird kind of time where we're kind of giving like a send off to players like Nemanja Matic, who at the end of the day we're good professionals, but they never won anything at the 5 years he was at the club.
That's so
Um,
goofy. It's usually you have these kind of, I guess what you call victory laps or these kind of like send offs for, players that are historically significant to the club. Like maybe like a Divock Origi, for example, for Liverpool would have been like a big send off. If it's like, all right, this is his last game, it's like, give him a good send off. But, as you said, Manchester United really haven't won anything significant the past several years. So it's just like, I feel like it's more a celebration. It's like, all right, it's the end of that era, they're out. It's like we'll
yeah,
get in the new players, and then they did okay, but they weren't anything. They're not going to be in the history books and kind of remembered in like as a David Beckham or like a Cantona. It's going to be like who is Nemanja Matic? Like there's no
yeah,
kid in 20 years is going to be like, dang, I remember Matic. I have his jersey or like unfortunately even Mata too. Like there's not really going to be
yeah.
anyone that's going to remember them, but it's more I guess a sending off
They'll be
era
like
where
more
it's
like
like
cult heroes of like very like hardcore fans. Will be like, oh yeah, I remember when he played. It's not going to be
Yeah.
like he's not going to be. They're not. Their names are not going to be etched in the history books of Manchester United anytime soon.
Even like Pogba, I would say even too.
Yeah,
Like it's just that whole past like 5 years, like half decade of all these players kind of getting the boot and kind of retiring, not retiring, but kind of
yeah.
moving
Literally,
on in free
I feel like
agency.
the only player like during like that whole during this whole era, like obviously Wayne Rooney, retired and left. Like obviously he's a legend. Outside of that, literally probably only David De Gea is the player, like the only player that you could put in like the history books of man, just because he's broken like so many records for Manchester United, and like he won a
And
Premier League, he
mhm.
won FA, like he's pretty much won it all except like the Champions League and all that. But he was part of that last era of Sir Alex that won a Premier League, and like he's probably the only player during this past 5, 6, 7 years that you could honestly say like, yeah, he's probably going to be after he leaves Manchester United, he's going to be still well renowned within the Premier League and also Manchester United fans for a long time.
Yeah, and it's also as because you said he was there in that last Fergie era,
Yeah,
so even on top of that, it's like unless you're there for years, or if you're maybe a meme like Messi Lingard or Phil Jones, it's like I don't know if that's kind of sad to say. I don't know if you'll be remembered too much,
yeah.
but I think at least for you, Yash, it's a good kind of cathartic moment where it's like, all right, they're all gone. They're all
Start
gone.
like a clean slate. Yeah, it's gonna be
Kind of.
very. Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting. Definitely watching this summer and seeing all the players that leave and then who we bring in. But I'm also very curious to see what happens with Ronaldo because not to say there's been reports of him leaving. I haven't seen any like valid reports of him leaving, but it'll be very interesting to see what his kind of mindset is. I think there's a big argument to be said that he definitely wants to play Champions League football because why not? Like he's best in the world, like one of the best in the world, and at his age, like he doesn't have that many more years to give. But he's also on really high wages, and there's not a lot of teams that can afford to pay like that amount of money for a player of that. That is that old. I mean, that's part of the reason PSG were kind of the only team in the running for Messi is because they were the only team that can afford that high amount of wages. And there was chatter about potentially Real Madrid, him having like some sort of swan song return to Real Madrid, and that definitely could be a big like it could be a move there. But I mean, if they go for Mbappe, I don't know how they're going to have like the money to afford Ronaldo's wages because that's going to be a lot of money. But I don't know. I'm just very curious to see what happens because it has been a topsy turvy kind of season for him in a sense. He started off really hot, and in the middle of it, it kind of like tailed off a bit because the whole team just kind of went through a whole funk. But what we've seen since April is that Ronaldo, very interesting. I heard this take like Ronaldo when he's given like kind of like a week's rest before each game, like you can kind of see how effective he can be in terms of his link up play, working off the ball, going for like second challenges. His goal scoring is incredible. Like, I mean, at this point, he's almost scoring like close to a hat trick a game. I mean, it's just absolutely crazy. Like, he's doing that in the Premier League at 37 years old. So I think Manchester United, like, if he does stay, I think it's really important that they find a second striker or someone that can take more of the load off Ronaldo, so he's not playing 90 minutes every single game, even though he's going to want to, because we've seen um, I don't know. At least for me, I've seen just how effective he can be when he's given a little bit more rest and just can let his body recover and then go into action because he can offer a lot. It's just that obviously at his age, he can't play like that every single game for like the entire season.
That sounds a lot like LeBron James. It's
Yeah,
just load management. That's what
yeah,
allows for him to do well. And I mean, if anything, Manchester United next season, they don't got any other competitions. It's just going to be Premier League, it looks like, at least. At least
yeah,
this was projected to be. But that might be to his benefit. And I don't know if even Real Madrid would want him back because if you think about it, Benzema after Ronaldo left Real Madrid, it kind of allowed him to kind of springboard into the Benzema he's become this season, where
hmm,
he's one of the best players in the world, and he doesn't have to share the spotlight. If anything, he's the one who has to kind of backpack, and it's working. It's
yeah,
an old Benzema is still doing the trick at Real Madrid, and it's something that they never really unlocked until Ronaldo left, and it was like, all right,
yeah,
it's up to you, man. There you go. So I feel like, if anything, the only other avenue I could really see is, as you said, PSG, and that'd be kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie, to see Messi, Ronaldo on the same team, but that
Yeah.
team ain't gonna win anything. They're gonna be too
Yeah,
old.
Messi, Ronaldo, Neymar.
They,
That's like the old full like ultimate team link up.
it's like what the kids do. It's like I'm gonna put all my money into big names, and then the team is like it's like a Ferrari at the front, but then like a Volkswagen Beetle in the back. it's like, it's I don't know. It probably won't work in terms of chemistry either, but I
Yeah.
think I'm not Ronaldo, but I would stay at Manchester United if the game load won't be as crazy next season as it's
Yeah.
projected to be, and
And it
you can just focus on the Premier League and just continue playing. He's got to like on his tail end, but I know he probably wants to win as many trophies as he can. But what
I
team
mean
is
he
really gonna want him?
yeah, and like I will say like, his name was already etched in like Manchester United history books. He doesn't really have to do it like much more. I mean, he could leave this season and fans would still love him because it's like, what you can't blame him for leaving. But I mean, it would be really cool to see like, okay, if he did stay and he was like it was like the guy that was like the golden generation of like the early 2000s of Manchester United, like the 2000 from like 2006 to 2010s, can come like came back in like the 2020 and like helped them win their first trophy in like 6 years to like kickstarted like a new era at the club. I mean, I mean that would literally put him at like almost like, I mean he's probably already at like top tier legend status already, but like even above that, like pantheon level, in terms of like
Pantheon level.
dude's gonna have like a statue outside Old Trafford like eventually. But
I
yeah, it
mean,
would
if
be
it's
really
like
cool.
that other statue that I'm thinking of, the
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 bust, yeah.
goofy one, yeah, the bust. I would
Um,
take that. I mean, I already feel like he already is there in terms of just general footballers in all
yeah,
time. Like, there's always like Pele, Johan Cruyff, Maradona.
yeah.
I
No,
feel
he
like
he
Messi and
definitely
Ronaldo definitely up there.
he
But
definitely is. I think it would just be like a really cool kind of story of just like kind of wins one like to get the franchise back. Because I honestly like it's really hard to do like cross sports comparison, but like honestly, like the current state of Manchester United and the LA Lakers is pretty much identical. Like you're talking about two historical franchises that dominated for so long, and then ever since their legends left, like for Lakers it was like legendary coach and legendary player. For Manchester United it was legendary coach, and ever since they've went away and that structure went away, like they've kind of just been in disarray, and they've seen like their rivals and local rivals and teams that never really were ever competing with them start lapping them and start kind of laughing at them and just overtaking them in every possible direction. And then you had LeBron James come back or come to LA at his age, and he won a championship with them. But Ronaldo coming back didn't win one, but kind of in the similar situation where like both teams, both franchises, and both clubs are trying to get back to glory days, and just try to rebuild and be like a structurally foundational like good team again. Um,
man, I don't want to say they won in the bubble, so I'm like maybe Manchester United need that. But I'm also like we don't need another pandemic. I'm good. In my
yeah,
lifetime,
yeah,
I hope this is the only one.
yeah, no,
Gosh
exactly.
dang.
Me too. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. I guess one last thing on Ronaldo, he has 19 Premier League goals at 37 years old in the Premier League, and he's only like a couple off of Mo Salah. And like, granted, Manchester United only have two more games left, and Salah and Son have 4 or 5 respectively. But I mean, that's crazy at 37 years old to be bagging 19 goals in the Premier League. Like, this is the
That's
toughest league in the world. Like, that's honestly crazy.
that's what I hope to do when I'm 37.
Yeah, just like
Like not like, playing in the Premier League. I mean, that'd be crazy, but
just
just playing
maintaining
soccer
like high
still.
level. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to become Gareth Bale because I feel like that's everyone in our era. It's like, all right, I've retired from sports at 24. It's time to play golf. I'm like, y'all are still. I'm like, what are you guys doing? It's like, you got to start early. I'm like, no, we can still play. It's like,
Hmm.
nah, I'm good. I'm like, what? So it
Yeah.
is what it is. But hopefully, I can be that old Asian guy that can still play, and then channel the inner Ronaldo. Be like, if
Yeah.
Ronaldo can do it at 37, I can do it at 26.
Yeah.
Just do
Let's
something
go.
like that.
Yeah. But
So
yeah, I mean, it's just when I look at those numbers, I'm just like that's just crazy. Like it's just it. I mean, the Premier League. I mean, like this is like the hardest league. Generally speaking, most people say this is the like, most difficult league to score. And like you have players like Lukaku that got transferred in at the peak of like their prime and can barely score a goal, like find the back of the net. And you have 37-year-old Ronaldo like still bagging goals or bagging hat tricks left and right. That's just it's just pretty phenomenal. I mean, that's why Messi doesn't have like the goal like in terms of like scoring goals at Ligue 1, but like he's assisted so many goals there. It's just
Mhm.
the level that those two are at. It's just crazy.
They
It's
also
actually
s-
insane.
they also attract so many defenders that it just leaves other
Yeah,
people open too. So it's like just being
very
there. They don't have
true.
to do anything. They just stand there and be like, all right, we got to guard like we got to put 3 people on them.
Yeah,
So
because if you don't, they'll score. Yeah,
yeah, and they'll do something.
yeah,
They're still OP. And also
yeah,
to kind of make just one more like cross sport comparison, like Tom Brady and
yeah,
for the Patriots and even the Bucks, he's like 40, 43, 40, something like that.
yeah. He
How old is
definitely
he?
like
He's like
yeah, he's like 40. Yeah, he's like I think like 42, 43, or 41, like somewhere in the
something like
40s,
that.
like early
He's in the
40s.
40s, but
Yeah,
like his majority of the trophies he won, I believe, were in his 30s.
yeah,
And
literally.
for Ronaldo, I mean, that could be inspiration. Like
Yeah,
they did meet
yeah.
at Old
After the
Trafford.
Tottenham game.
Yeah, so maybe it's
So
some
yeah,
inspiration. It's like just keep going,
exactly.
boss.
Yeah,
Maybe that's what unretired Tom Brady, and maybe that's what Tom Brady's going to do for Ronaldo. Be like, keep going. If I'm doing it at
yeah,
40, you got to do it until you're 40, and kind of
yeah,
keep that train going. But I don't know if Ronaldo's going to win that many trophies in the near future with Manchester United, but at least he
yeah.
can keep those accolades.
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. That's kind of like what's going on with Manchester United. And then, um, I guess moving on to our wild card topic, which is kind of a fun one. It was actually news that I guess that went live like maybe a couple of days ago or like 5 days ago was PlayStation or Sony announcing for their PlayStation Plus subscribers that FIFA 22 will be one of the free games of the month for the month of May, which is a really big deal because if you don't know, I'm sure a lot of the people that listen to us probably play like video games as well. But like Sony has a service called PlayStation Plus, which is a subscription service you can pay. Like I think it's like
Ten
$40
bucks
for
a
a
month?
year, 40
Yeah.
to $60 for a year, and within like every month they offer 3 free games to like their subscribers. So a lot of the times the free games are maybe past hits from the past or some like indie games. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's like meh. But this one was actually, I think this was, at least since I've been a subscriber, this is one of the first times, or actually this is a couple times. I think they actually did like a UFC game one time, and then they did NBA 2K20 or
Yeah.
2K21 for one of the free games back during quarantine. But this is the first time I've seen a FIFA game be one of the free games, and it's actually like a big deal because this is like, I would say out of all the sports games, I would say FIFA tends to hold its value in terms of like always kind of being like more on the pricier end of the games,
Hmm.
a lot more comparatively to Madden and NBA. I feel like FIFA always tends to hold like that $40 value pretty much the entire year until, yeah, until you go to like, even if you go to GameStop to buy it used, it's still pretty much at $40 for a long period of time. But meanwhile, like Madden and NBA, they tend to drop to like $20, sometimes even to like $15 if it's like really bad. But I think
Yeah.
FIFA always holds a constant value. So it was actually kind of crazy that I know it's the end of the season for in terms of foot, but like it's the month of May, and Sony's offering FIFA 22 for free for PlayStation Plus subscribers, which is pretty big.
I think it's a big move in terms of just I don't think it's the business model that FIFA's gonna or EA is gonna do for FIFA, where we're starting to see like Warzone, for
Hmm.
example, or Fortnite go into a
Yeah.
subscription base where like the base game is free, but then you
Yeah.
pay for like a battle
All
pass
the
that lasts for
add-ons.
like
Yeah.
yeah for like 2 months, and then you have to pay for a new one and like the next season, and then you buy all these like microtransactions. So
Hmm.
FIFA has always been one of those classic pay $60 for the game for the
And then
year,
pay
and then the
more.
next year you buy another 60, and then you also pay like for packs and like special edition versions of it on top of that. So then
Yeah.
they kind of milk at least 60 to like $100 from everyone every year. And people are
Yeah.
always like, it's the same game. I'm like, no, it's not the same game. Like literally the gameplay itself, like the skins that are on top of it, like the visuals are on top of it, and also just the mechanics of playing.
Yeah. It
Like if you
changes
play,
like literally when I played, I downloaded the game, and like this is like that's how I've been playing it. Like I didn't
Mhm.
buy FIFA 22 this year. And I was honestly wasn't gonna buy it at all this year because I've just had no interest in playing it. But it was free obviously, so I decided to give it a go. And yeah, literally playing from I played FIFA 21. I played FIFA 21 a ton, and literally going from 21 to 22, 22 plays so differently compared to 21. Like 22 feels
It's
like a smoother version of 21, which is just crazy to say.
yeah, it's weird. It's hard to explain to like just to someone who never played it before, or it's like it's just 11v11. How can it be that different? The agility of the players, just mechanics, and like just the I guess even the animations and just what you can do in the game, what's OP, what's not OP from game to game, it changes.
Yeah.
And FIFA, like they really also really haven't had that many competition either. Like the only competition they had was like Pez, and then they just fell off. So there's still a monopoly, but literally this kind of $60 kind of model has just never died. So seeing it be free, I feel like for a big game like this, I don't know if it's a gateway for other people to try to get back into it or for new people to start to play for free. I mean, I'm
Mm.
pretty sure both those points will be fulfilled this month, but I don't know if their fan base is dying or anything like that. But it's interesting to see just this game be free, and that's how I would say I got into those games like 2K20 or 2K21. It was free on PS4, and
Hmm.
that's how I got into 2K a little bit more. I
Yeah.
did play them before, but just not you know not the Ultimate Team version like my team or anything like
Yeah.
that because all my friends are able to get it. So because of this, it's free, so all your friends can get this game and play together, and then you can get
Hmm.
into it that way. And then for games like Madden, it was so bad that it was made free because they couldn't get
Yeah.
players to buy it.
Yeah.
So this is on the opposite end of the spectrum where it's I would say it's a solid game this year. It's just now typically as you mentioned, it still would retain a certain value of maybe 40 bucks, maybe $30 if you can find it from some random thrift store or something like that. But
Yeah.
it's surprising to see here. And if anyone this is a PSA for anyone out there with a PS4 or a PlayStation, get the game because I know it's a
Yeah.
little toxic, but at least it's free and it's a
Yeah.
good thing just to have on the console, just to have ready to go if you ever have any friends
Yeah.
over. You want
And
to
it
play just a soccer game.
Yeah, and it was also really interesting. They also released like with that with the free game, they also had a special promotional pack to get people started on FIFA Ultimate Team. It was
Oh, they
literally,
did?
I think, yeah, I think it was like one or two 82 like guaranteed 82 plus player packs to help get like your team started. Because obviously, if you ever played Ultimate Team, by this time of the year, pretty much everyone's squad is like overpowered. Everyone's got like the best cards or like really good cards, legends and stuff. So I think it's like a really good gesture to like. I mean, there. I definitely like we all know the game they're trying to get. They're trying to get people hooked on the foot, so that way when FIFA 23 comes out, they're like, oh, I got to get FIFA 23 and like go all in on FIFA Ultimate Team so I can compete. But yeah, it was very interesting that they even offer like a free promotional pack for even existing FIFA 22 players to kind of get their hands on. So I don't know. It could be this definitely could be like kind of like a marketing strategy to like, maybe let's take our losses this year and make it free, but then like kind of banking on if we make it free, that means more people are going to get hooked onto the game and try it. But I will also say that you mentioned Pez. They recently, this year at least, like they got rid of the Pez name and just went towards a new name called eFootball, I believe. Is it eFootball or I can't remember the exact name of the
Never
new
heard
game
of
they
it.
but yeah, they basically made the game free. And obviously the game came out with a bunch of bugs and glitches, but it's a little bit better now as the patches have come out. But literally the whole game was entirely free. Like you didn't have to pay for this year's edition of the game. And I think yeah, it was essentially all free. And I think like they were gonna make people pay like little microtransactions, but like basically the whole base game was free. Like the career mode, normal kickoff gameplay, even like their version of Ultimate Team was free. So I think like you said, like maybe this could be the start of maybe a lot of sports games kind of going towards like a free model at first, but then you have to kind of pay. I wouldn't say pay to play or pay to win, but it's like you pay to get like an extra advantage over people or like an extra step up. But yeah, I could definitely see a trend of like a lot of these games kind of going baseline free, and you get like really basic features, and then if you want um, more features and all that, you kind of have to pay and everything like that.
The only thing I'd be wondering about is like, Warzone, it's like a battle royale, but you don't get
Hmm.
like campaign. You don't get like Spec Ops or if those even still exist.
Oh
But
yeah.
and like also just multiplayer itself. But for FIFA, you still get career mode. You still get Volta if anyone plays that. You still get pro clubs, which is the one I
Yeah.
actually like the most. Pro clubs is the most
Yeah, I
chaotic
feel
because
like a
it's
lot of
just you
people
control
love.
one player.
Yeah, a lot of people have fun with that. Yeah, I mean, it could be one of those where maybe like if it's free, you only get Ultimate Team, but if you want access to everything else, you have to pay like I don't know, 40 like the whole price to get the whole game. Or it
Yeah.
could be vice versa where you get like all the other features, but if you want to really play foot, you have to pay, the $40 or whatever to get access to foot or pro clubs and all that.
Mm. I
Um
mean, they're still
which could
milking
be
money from me, so
yeah, no, I mean, it definitely could be interesting because I guess like it could get like the casual player to just hooked on to like regular career mode, and then
that's
if
true.
they ever want to venture off into like, oh, I want to play people online, then it's like, okay, well, I'm gonna have to like cough up like the $40 to play people online.
It's because I mean, we see like the two appending sizes or opposing sizes too, where I bought the game at the beginning of the year, and then Yush didn't, and
Yeah,
Yush was like, "Nah, I ain't paying $60 for this." Whereas I kind of Twitch streamed this game, so it's a little
yeah.
different for me. But
But then
if I
also
yeah,
since you have the game, you already know like everything that's OP, what's not, how to play the
hmm
game. So like now you're kind of like, okay, I this game feels natural to me, but for me, this game feels really weird to me. Like still, like it feels very very different from FIFA 21.
it is very different. But also at the same time, even to that point, I've only played one mode. I haven't
Yeah.
played kickoff. I haven't played career mode, regular seasons, or pro clubs yet. I've only played Ultimate Team.
Hmm.
So I just kind of paid that barrier of entry, but I only
Yeah.
still play just one mode within that game. So it's just like,
Yeah.
um, yeah, if they made it free, then maybe it'd be both of us playing at the beginning of the year rather than just one person. And
Yeah.
maybe it'd be, that cost of like, oh, I would have paid $60 anyway. I could still put in that same maybe like $40 instead into like just packs just to get started.
Hmm.
So I don't know, EA, if you're listening, you could try it. I don't know. But I mean, once they try it, you can't go back because then it'd be like the next year, it'd be like, it was free last year. All the people are going to complain. So it'd be a big
Yeah,
decision. But
it's definitely like I feel like also it definitely comes like you have the PlayStation Plus model, but I feel like it also helps out like I guess like sometimes like with the kids. I guess at our age like we both have jobs and we can afford to like pay the full price of a game if we needed to.
mhm.
But like I remember when I was growing up, like I wasn't able to get like a ton of games growing up, so it's like you could only maybe get one game a year or maybe two games a year if you're lucky. So it's like a
Yeah,
lot of kids like FIFA is like their game of the year. Like they literally only get FIFA. So like if they make it free, then it's like okay, now you're inviting like a lot of kids or a lot of people who couldn't afford to buy the game to get to allow them to play it. So
that's true.
it's
Er,
yeah, it's very interesting. I like when I saw the game come up for free, I was just like, it just caught my eye because I'm like, wow, like I've never seen FIFA like EA specifically do this. I mean, this is like a not very EA move. If you
Yeah,
if you've
usually
known like historically what EA does with FIFA, this is not a very EA esque move when it comes to
it's just like Mr. Krabs over there. They're just it's all
FIFA.
money. So I feel like there's a money grab in this, and I feel like it's just people buying packs that don't have in game. So I mean,
Oh
because
yeah,
I
to
mean,
like to
if you think
catch
about
up.
it, yeah. So it's like if say you don't pay the $40 for the full game,
It's like you may
then you'll
just
just
buy.
get the
You
game
may
for
even
free.
spend more than 40 to like
Yeah, on
just
just
buying
packs.
packs. Yeah,
I'm not
FIFA.
gonna lie. Even for when I downloaded 2K21, I think 2 seasons ago, or I meant 2 seasons, 2 years ago, something like
Years,
that.
yeah,
My friend and I were just like, let's just drop $20 on just building a team just because it was free. So I mean, like
yeah,
they could. That's like free money, free revenue that they wouldn't have gotten anyway. So
yeah.
that's a thing.
And I feel like a lot of people will do that too because like when you look at packs, especially like FIFA points, like you said, they come in like what like $10, $20, 25, and like what you could pay like up to 50. It's so low stakes, when you think of like
Yeah,
$20, you're like, oh, like that's like maybe a meal, like that's nothing. But it's like when you start paying like multiple $20 of like okay $20 here and then like 2 days later $20, it adds up, but you don't realize it because it's such a small number to begin with.
yeah. Then you don't eat for a few days, and it's like, all right, at least I got freaking Cavani on my team. It's like, gosh dang it.
Cavani fodder.
Yeah, Cavani fodder. I mean, even there too. Like I feel like for at least FIFA itself, like buying packs is kind of synonymous as well as to buying just regular cards, like for like
Yeah,
Yu-Gi-Oh or like Pokemon, because this
yeah,
is literally buying cards. Like
yeah.
the players are on like card styles, like you get
Format, yeah.
chemistry style like cards and things like
Yeah, it's
that,
like
and
if you get like a really rare one, like i.e. like a really good one in FIFA, like you kind of freak out a bit because it's like, oh crap, I just packed someone like legit, you know?
mm-hmm. And the only difference is like you can utilize this card and like it's like a microtransaction to like other players, like an in-game currency to like other folks.
Hmm.
So that's what makes it a little different. But I mean, people buy Pokemon cards. People buy $4,000 Pokemon cards and
Yeah.
things like that, which is a little crazier. But those are kind of more investments. Whereas for this, it kind of just dies after the game ends and
Yeah.
after they shut off the servers. So it only lasts for so long, but at least it brings some joy at certain
Yeah.
points. So
But
quick
yeah.
plug for the Twitch channel, at Hawk Fun, if you want to follow my Twitch.
Yes. Yes.
We
Go
do
follow 2v2
2v
Tuesdays.
Tuesdays. I play every Tuesday with a friend from work, and we do co-op Ultimate Team, and
Hmm.
we play only once a week for like a couple hours. That's all I do, and then we just have one team that we just use the entire season, and that's how I kind of control myself too playing this game. Like I don't really
Yeah.
play by myself most of the time. It's only if a friend is
Because it's
on.
very addicting. I
It
will
is very
point
addicting.
that
I'm
out.
like,
It is a very there's a reason why this game is so popular. Like, yeah, good reasons, but also a lot of bad reasons. Very addicting.
it's I got my hours out of it during college. It's like, what you do in
Yeah.
college? I'm like, FIFA. It's like after
Yeah.
that, I'm
So
like, all right, I can't be doing this for the rest of my life.
yeah. So
So I
PSA
limit it
to any
now.
of our young listeners: your life is more than FIFA. Do not waste all your time on this game.
Yeah, but it
It's
is
not
good.
worth it.
It is good to bring a group around and have like a tournament here and there on like a
Yes,
weekend. Those
but
are lit.
do not get so wrapped up in a weekend league where you get rageful and you hate everything, you resent life. It's just a game.
It got really deep.
Yeah, because it's definitely happened to me. Like I let this game, it can control you if you let it. So you gotta put like safe gaps and you know check yourself every once in a while because
Yeah,
this game, like we said, it can be really addicting, and you can sometimes get so addicted where you don't even catch yourself getting like you'll just like be like, oh, I'll just play one game, and then 3 hours go by, and it's just like, what did I just do for 3 hours?
because like even Ultimate Team itself, it's like a mini
Oh
stock
yeah.
market, but it's controlled
Yeah.
by EA. So like the
Yeah.
volatility and everything, it just doesn't make sense at times.
Yeah.
Simple supply and demand from economics kind of apply to Ultimate Team, and
Yeah,
that
it's all
works.
of a
But it's
sudden
like,
like when a SPC comes out, it's like everyone needs like 84 rated cards. It's like all of a sudden they're like 10,000 coins,
yeah, so it's
or
like,
like
all
they're like
right, so
20,000 coins.
you
It's like,
can't
what
really
the heck?
anticipate it. So just play for fun,
Yeah.
and then
Hmm.
every once in a while, just go outside and look at some grass. It's like
Yeah.
you gotta find some balance, but it'll be just
Exactly.
interesting to see how Ultimate Team is, because even for me, I have FIFA on my Xbox, but
Yeah.
my PS4, I don't have it yet. So now I can go get on my PS4 and play Pro Clubs with some friends. Yes, you can join us.
Yeah.
Join our club.
Yes, I will. Yeah. I'm very excited for that. I'll play that because that's really fun.
Yeah, it'll be lit. And then
Yeah. Nothing, because at least like then, like you're not dealing with like, I know we said a PSA to our young listeners, but you're not dealing with someone that just like hogs the ball or like runs around in the corner for like the entire game after they score like one cheap goal.
it's and for anyone that has no idea what we're talking about, Pro Clubs is just a mode within the game where it's 11v11, but you can only control one player on the team. And then the rest of the, like, let's say you only have 6 players, though, one player can control like the other remaining players, but then
Hmm.
everyone else just creates their own player. They can name them whatever they want,
Yeah.
and
Customize them.
um, they can customize them, have them play a certain position, and have certain attributes and traits, making like really short and fast, or really tall and lanky and slow, win all the headers. But the meta is kind of smaller and faster. But I mean, you can name them whatever they want. Like I feel like some of them I probably can't say in the pod that I've seen before because they're kind of inappropriate. But at least for me, one of the FIFAs, you're able to import a Google image or like a JPEG to EA's website of anyone, and then they'll make I think like a 3D model of that face onto a
Oh, nice.
player. So I downloaded like Mr. Bean, like Rowan Atkinson, but the picture was really orange. So he came out like Donald Trump, like that level of orange
Oh
in the
my
game.
god.
And that shade you can't get in the game. Like it just so happened to just be that 3D model just happened to be referencing a really orangey version of Mr. Bean, and I just used Mr. Bean an entire season. And I've had a friend, I don't want to say which historical figure, but it was one from World War II, and it was very black and white, and he came
Oh
out
my
looking like
god.
a piece of paper. I was like, holy
Jeez.
cow. So I don't think they have that feature anymore in terms of like importing certain faces and stuff, but it's a very interesting game mode that I feel like that's a less toxic kind of game mode to do. And also just to bring some friends together. If it's like a rainy day, then sit inside, play some pro clubs with some friends. So
Mm-hmm.
that's
Yeah.
I don't know why we're not even sponsored by EA, but
Yeah.
and they're definitely not gonna give us any money for this, but well, that's just our
Oh
two
man.
cents, I would say,
Yeah.
for this game that's kind
As
of
people that have played
influenced
like a
us.
decent amount of FIFA in their lives. Yeah.
Hmm. So there we
But
go.
yeah,
FIFA
that
22,
was
it's free.
yeah, really yeah. That's what we want to mention. FIFA 22, it's free for like the rest of the month of May. So definitely, if you have a PlayStation, you have PlayStation Plus, just download it because like why not? Like Tyler said, it's free, and as long as you have PlayStation Plus, you'll have the game forever. And yeah, it's a fun game to try out, and obviously like a really fun one when you have a group of friends over just to play and kind of kick back and relax with. But yeah, that was our wild card topic, and yeah, that was pretty much it for episode 142. As we always say, you can follow us and subscribe to us at the Premier Pod on YouTube. You can give us a follow at the Premier Pod on Instagram and Twitter. Send us any questions or any comments you have through there, and we'll get back to you on that. But if you're listening to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, please make sure to leave us a rating and review. It helps us out and helps us get boosted up on the platform. But if you don't want to leave a review, that's totally fine. Just taking the time to listen to it is more than enough. And if you have a friend that's interested in the Premier League or interested in soccer or potentially FIFA, um, you know, that it wouldn't like we definitely appreciate if you could just share this with a friend, and we'll take the help anywhere we can get it. But yeah, once again, thank you guys so much for listening. That kind of wraps up season 4, episode 142 of the podcast. Thank you guys. Peace.
Peace.